Storytime about the pettiest work-related thing I've done. About 3 years ago, I used to work as a videographer doing social media content for a 7-figure company. I was paid roughly just better than minimum wage, and I was cranking out, at one point, 50 videos a day. I was freelancing and I was on a loose contract. I was desperate for the money. It was an insane amount of work, and however I managed to do it for 6 months is beyond me, especially for how shitty I was paid. The office was an incredibly bitter and snide place. It was clear that management would purposely stir shit to watch staff fight as a form of entertainment. I kept well away from it, but it was incredibly stressful on top of the video work. After about 6 months, I pitched to the higher ups that my videos are making an insanely positive difference to their sales. I showed them graphs of interactions and direct links to sales on the website via my content. I compared my ideal salary to others in the industry and made a big deal about how it would still be less than what I should be paid. However, I still wanted to continue working for them. I was fired hours later for, I shit you not pulling my weight, as well as not having the desired effect they want on social media. I was fuming and now unemployed. I struggled for months to find any other job. Today, years later, while browsing a very old Google Drive account, I found that said company was still using a folder I created and owned. They were mostly active in files containing templates, adjustment layers, presets, and even all the videos that I created. Over 18 people were actively using it daily to continue with their social media campaigns. This was a cloud service that I was paying monthly for as I wanted extra space for my work. This was my drive and my work. I own it. So I copied the file as a local version for myself and then deleted the online version. Tomorrow, they'll wake up with none of their video assets, including all the things they were working on. Screw them. I'm a 20-year-old single dude living with my parents still. I have a job and everything and plan to move out soon. My brother, 25, has obviously already moved out and has his own place. He's had several girlfriends for the past 6 years since he moved on. Plenty of times I thought he found the one, but didn't. Recently, I found out that he's been in love with his new girlfriend, Hannah. As you couldn't already tell from her name, Hannah is of Japanese descent. I was really curious to see what she looked like as I have a personal preference for Asian women. It's nothing creepy, I just like how they look. My brother said just to meet her in person and said that I'd really like her. He came over to introduce Hannah to me and my parents. And man, Hannah was absolutely beautiful. Long hair, nice skin. My brother absolutely scored. I was friendly to her right away. My dad cooked us a feast as a way to get together and also get to know Hannah better. Hannah shared a lot about herself. She shared about her childhood and how she was bullied for being Asian and as a result felt insecure about her looks. My mother talked about how Hannah was a beautiful and kind young woman and they're glad we met her. I immediately agreed and went on a bit of a tangent. I said how it's ridiculous anyone could bully you because you're so beautiful. Asian girls are one of the most beautiful women in the world, with their skin, eyes, and how they're definitely the cutest type of women out there. I pointed out that I liked how short they were and how I love how most of them never have to worry about their weight to maintain their appearance. My brother kind of gave me a glare and Hannah got up to excuse herself and said that she needed to go to the bathroom. My mom and dad said I went completely overboard and most likely made her uncomfortable. My brother came back saying they're leaving and headed off. The next day, I get a text from my brother about how uncomfortable I made Hannah and how it seemed like I was fetishizing her. I found this ridiculous because I was just praising her and finding her beautiful. He proceeded to call me a creep and said I was objectifying her and that I owed her an apology. But I've literally been nothing but nice. I told my friends and they agreed with me that Hannah reacted too sensitively, but my parents agreed with my brother that I should have apologized. Am I the asshole for making people at the table uncomfortable? I, 17, female to male, am trans and came out to my family a few months ago. All in all, everyone has been supportive, although I believe my mom was a tiny bit bummed. She said that she would always support me though. She just needs time to process all of this, which is honestly painful, but not the reason why I'm here. My mom got a tattoo with my sister's name and my dead name after I was born. It's a huge tattoo with a unique design that incorporates her and my dead name. It covers most of her arm and she's really proud of it because my older sister designed it and gifted it to her for her birthday. Obviously, constantly seeing my dead name is kind of triggering for me. Therefore, I told her that she needs to remove it. She seemed shocked and told me that she's too old for longer tattoo sessions. She hasn't gotten a tattoo in years because of that. She was also diagnosed with depression and such and uses it as an excuse for not having the energy to change it anymore. I don't really believe her, but whatever. Now she's often trying to cover it up with clothes, but I feel like it's not enough. Just acknowledge that that name is still there, it haunts me, but she refuses to change it. We had a lot of fights because of it, and she said that she's really trying to hide it, but it's part of her body that she's in love with, because there's so much history and love for her children in that tattoo. I can't really relate, because I don't have any particularly significant tattoos. Now, my birthday was a few days ago and some family came over, and the issue came up, because my cousin was showing off her new tattoo and someone asked about my dead name tattoo. My mom got uncomfortably silent and excused herself and went to the kitchen. So everyone started asking me what that was about, and I told them that I wanted her to remove the tattoo, but she doesn't want to. My sister also doesn't want her to, because she believes it would look really awful, since the entire design is attached to the names and the only way to cover it would be just to make her entire arm black. Anyway, I didn't actually plan for that reaction, but my cousin, who can relate because she's queer, for some reason got furious and went after my mom and screamed at her for being so unsupportive and accused her of being transphobic. Which I don't believe, although it was nice to see someone get angry about the tattoo because my cousin was finally saying some things I was feeling, but I didn't want to put it into words. My mom then had a panic attack and left the house. She's now staying with my grandpa, and my dad and sister are angry at me for making some of my family gang up on her. Am I the asshole for telling my mom to remove and change the tattoo? As a child, whenever I was invited to people's houses, my mom told me it was etiquette to eat the food that they made. She would always tell me to put a considerable amount and eat all of it since it would be rude not to. First, she said I would be wasting food, and second, it would seem as if I didn't enjoy the food, which is mean since a lot of effort was put into making it. I've always followed this rule and thought it was true. If I cooked a buttload of food and no one ate it, I'd be heartbroken. My boyfriend of 7 months invited me to his family's Christmas dinner. I've met his parents very briefly, but nothing too formal. Anyway, we get to the food and I was pretty hungry and everything looked really amazing. I made sure to fill my plate, but not overfill, just equal amounts of everything on the table. I ate it all and to be honest, was pretty stuffed. His mother then asked me if I wanted seconds. There was still a lot of food on the table. I took her up on the offer and put a bit more of the pasta salad. My boyfriend gave me a strange look, but I thought nothing of it at the time. Dessert comes and I chose to eat a slice of cheesecake. We then had coffee, all sitting around the fire and telling funny stories. Everyone seemed like in a very good mood and everything was great. After everything, I was honestly so happy because I was worried about dinner and meeting his parents, but I thought that everything went well. We left his parents' house in separate cars as I came directly from my parents' house to him. We reached my apartment and I can tell he's totally pissed off. I asked him what was wrong and he just blew up in my face that I had no manners, telling me he had never seen me eat as much as I did at his parents' house and it was so embarrassing. After further prying, he said that in his culture, when you eat a lot at a person's house, it's disrespectful because you should never go to a house on an empty stomach. He said that it makes a person look desperate and fat. He said on the car ride home, his mom was talking about how embarrassing and unmannered I was to eat so much. I told him that she told me to put seconds and he said that's son to be a good hostess, but a guest should never take up on that offer. He said it would have been fine if I had declined dessert, but since I didn't, I looked even more fat. I explained my reasoning to him and he called that bullshit. I honestly feel terrible, but I told him that if he explained to me beforehand, I wouldn't have eaten so much. He said that he thought it was common knowledge. It's been 2 days and neither of us will really talk until the other apologizes. I know it's petty not to apologize, but I sincerely don't think I did anything wrong. Am I the asshole for eating at my boyfriend's family's Christmas dinner? My wife and her friend went out drinking on Friday night and she didn't come home till 4 in the morning, which had me worried sick. When she finally came home, she was very drunk and was almost being dragged by her friend. The friend had a guilty look on her face and asked me to be patient while listening to her account. I was of course alarmed. What account? The friend left saying it's better if my wife told me. My wife was obviously out at this point, so I went to sleep. Around 11 a.m., I'm woken up by my wife crying and saying that she committed a horrible mistake and she's very sorry. She was hysterical at this point and I had to calm her down, and finally after calming her down, she told me that she had gotten so drunk last night that she hooked up with a stranger. I was shocked and I pressed her for details. She said that they had met 2 guys while drinking and they were buying them rounds. At first she said she turned the drinks down, but when her friend expressed an interest in one of them, they went to talk to them and accepted the drinks from them. My wife was given the responsibility of keeping the friend of the guy busy while her friend talked to the guy. Eventually, after some time and a lot of drinks later, they went to the guy's home and this is where she had sex with him. My wife says that she went there just to make sure that her friend was safe and she had no ulterior motive. She did admit to some harmless flirting with the guy, but said it didn't mean anything. Sure. She was adamant that she didn't want to have sex with the guy. Then I said, maybe you were forced. Let's try to find out who the guy was first. I asked for more details, but again, she said that she didn't remember. So I went to the pub in the evening to ask around, and luckily the guy my wife's friend hooked up with was there too. When I talked to him, he painted a completely different picture of the night. He said that he and his friend were very clear with both my wife and her friend from the start that they were looking to hook up, and my wife and her friend never raised any objection. He also said that my wife absolutely knew what was going to happen once they went back to the house. I didn't get to meet the other guy who hooked up with my wife, but I did talk to him on the phone and he also said the same thing. Both women knew exactly what the deal was and they still went to his house. I did get heated with him, but he insisted that he didn't force anyone. He was just as drunk as she was and it was completely mutual right from the moment they started talking at the bar. He said I could check the security footage to see how my wife and her friend were acting on that night. I tried, but they wouldn't show me the footage without a police report. I don't know what to think here. My wife insists it's not the case, but did admit to flirting with him. Those guys insist it was mutual. My wife doesn't want to file any case against them and I'm at a loss. Only one thing is clear to me. My wife put her friend's sexual life ahead of our marriage, otherwise why go to a stranger's house after midnight? I'm totally lost. What should I do? We used to have a beautiful bookshelf in our drawing room and it was filled with my girlfriend's books. She buys them for herself as she loves to read and I don't. Most of these books she's had since childhood. We get lots of compliments over it. She had added little potted plants, handmade photo frames with art from her favorite books and series, bookmark stands and stuff to it. Over the years, this book obsession has gone out of hand. She owns so many books. She has an Instagram page for her books. She listens to YouTubers who only talk about books. She has a lot of friends who don't really do anything but read these pretentious, fat books, unlike my girlfriend who is in law school and doing very well. She wastes money on more and more books when in my opinion she should be devoting that money to our house and relationship since it's been 3 years and we're fairly serious now. For context, we do split most of the house expenses, but she currently earns more than me because she has a really fancy internship right now. Given our respective fields, her earning more than me all through life is something I've accepted. I was worried that even after she gets a real job, she'll continue to burn all her money away instead of putting it to good use around the house. What's worse, I don't think she actually likes reading. She had a very abusive childhood and books were her coping mechanism. She doesn't live with her parents anymore though, so I don't see why she's still so attached to them. In my opinion, it's unhealthy. I'm not saying that she should be over it or anything, but her obsession with her coping mechanism is just stupid. You wouldn't mistake her for a reader if you saw her. She's very pretty and feminine with a gorgeous figure and fabulous hair. She wears makeup, dresses fancy, and is the life of the party sort of girl. So I don't think I'm wrong when I say that she doesn't actually like reading at all. So to help her out, I hid a good chunk of her books to sort of test the waters. Some of them were really old and from when she was a child in her parents' house, and her favorite. I felt the experiment would be meaningless if I just hid a couple she wouldn't immediately notice even though she reads every day, so she checks her bookshelf every day. When she asked if I took them, she already looked so worried I told her that I threw them away to show her that she can be fine without them. She flipped out, threatened to leave, the whole works. I got angry and told her the truth and said that she was welcome to her shitty crutches because she had just lost her boyfriend over them. She just laughed and went to go find her books. I left the house. When I went back, she was giving me the silent treatment and at night asked me when I was planning on leaving because apparently we're over. I'm currently living on my best friend's couch who's saying that I messed up big time, but he's always kind of wanted to bang her, so I don't believe him. Am I the asshole for helping my girlfriend get over her trauma? Story time about when I unintentionally gave my dog the best damn day of his life. Let me start by saying that it's important to note whenever I cook hot dogs, I slice the package, take out a few, roll the rest back up into plastic packaging, and fasten it with some good old-fashioned elastic bands. Today, however, I did not do that. I couldn't tell you why my dumbass decided to just fold the plastic over a few times and place it back on the shelf, but here we are. So my spouse comes running down in their few minutes between endless meetings to make their lunch quickly. We're the only two in the house, plus our little rescue dog who is a stray and is an absolute mooch. I mean, this dog will weave between your feet, eyes glued to the floor, hoping for even a single speck of crumb because woe is him, he's never been fed a day in his life. So we're all in the kitchen, I hear the fridge open, and it suddenly dawns on me in hard that my spouse is most definitely going to go for those hot dogs that I wrapped like a dumbass. I quickly turn around and say something, and my spouse in slow motion, wide-eyed, stares at me as the hot dog package unrolls like a fruit by the foot commercial and douses my dog's entire skull in too much to be reasonable in one fucking package of hot dog water. My dog lost his shit. Like a Christian grandma with the second coming of Christ, my dog just tears ass across the entire apartment with the worst case of the zoomies I think we've ever seen him have. He proceeds to spend the next 15 minutes singing our praises as the greatest humans alive as he rolls across every piece of furniture we own. I'm talking every piece of furniture. Now, I don't hate hot dogs, but the smell is weirdly overpowering, and every time I sat down on something else, all I can smell is the godforsaken hot dogs. My dog loves it though, and now I'm figuring out how to shampoo out hot dog water for my life. I have so many regrets.